For much of his long career, he was derided as the Madden who couldn't play, a seemingly uncoordinated 206-centimetre bundle of arms and legs. In truth, he was a lot more than Simon Madden's unfashionable younger brother. Justin Madden played 332 games, played in 2 premiership teams, won 2 Best and Fairest awards and was runner-up in a Brownlow. You conned us, Justin, you could actually play.
I think you've been pretty harsh calling me unfashionable, Michael.
There's about 5 things here you could
There are a lot of
complain
things. There are a lot of, but I think unfashionable is pretty harsh. Like I wasn't a fashion icon, but I wasn't completely, you know, a mess.
Some of us would say you made an art form of tomfoolery.
Well, some could say that. Yeah. I just a footballer that sort of like to enjoy themselves, Michael, and I still do.
Did you love it?
Not necessarily. No, there were moments I really enjoyed, but most of the time it was pretty hard work, Michael. So the only way to get through that is to sort of make light of it and entertain yourself a bit. But
you didn't train, you didn't go to club functions?
Well, I did, but not to the extent that some of my teammates might have. You know, I was never keen on club functions, and when we had official club functions, I had a little technique that used to get me out early where I'd leave the car headlights on and they'd make an announcement, of course, you know, somebody's left their headlights on, they better go out and turn them off, and I'd go out and get in the car and go home, Michael.
Now, there's never been any pretence about you, but...
Well, I couldn't, you know, you can only work with the material you got, and I was slow and tall, and the reason why I had a long career, Michael, really was I couldn't get any shorter, and it was impossible to get any slower. So, you know, that can give you a long career if you're a ruckman.
But then recently I met you for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And you hand me your business card.
Yeah.
And it's got the Honourable Justin Madden AM.
Yeah. Well,
and I nearly fell over when you gave me that.
Like, because I gave you something, or was the fact that you just... what was on it? Well, you know, it's a surprise to most people. That's why I do like to give that card away, just to remind people that, you know, on occasions I can be serious.
But you're out of Parliament. Would you retain that title for life, do you?
Oh, something like that, Michael. I haven't thought too long and hard about it, but apparently you can, I think.
OK. Lots of fond memories about your career for me, and I'm genuine about that.
That's good. Well, you're showing your age and my age too.
Well, that's OK. I can live with that. You're only in your 50s?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We won't go into detail, but yeah. And you're not as young as you used to be.
No,
but
I'm not in
you
my
look
50s.
Terrific,
no.
Michael.
Thank you, Justin. I want to take you back to Waverley Park in 1993.
Yes.
A final. Carlton are playing Adelaide.
Yes.
The ball happens to fall into your hands.
Yeah.
You look up towards goal.
Yep.
Pick the story up from there.
Well, it was a final that we were behind in. I think this was just before half-time, and it's funny because David Parker had given us the instruction that if you get the ball and you bounce it, you've upset the whole system so much you may as well have a shot for goal. I was running and I was looking to give it away to our teammates because I'm not supposed to run and bounce the ball. But Adelaide must have had a man-up sort of game plan. So as I ran, all our running players peeled off to get a handball, and their Adelaide opponents followed them. So they just opened the water, you know, parted the waters for me, and I just ran down the field. And you know, you're running, you've got to keep bouncing it. So I did, and then I looked up thinking I could kick it to Stephen Kernahan, but he had run so far up the ground by this stage because it had taken me so long to get there, the ball just bounced through for a goal.
Now, I liked the follow-up. You kept running towards the Carlton throng.
I did. Well, it was...
And blew kisses to them.
Well, it was one of the few occasions... there was a discernible laughter in the crowd. It's not very often you hear that. Like, you can hear the boos and the cheers and a bit of static, but not much else. So I could hear the laughter and I could see the irony, as most of the crowd could. And so, you know, you take the opportunities when you can, so blew a few kisses on the way back. And I think if you look at the footage, even my teammates are chuckling. They're laughing at it too.
But when in my research on you, which took me a long, long time, you kicked 5 goals in your first game for the Blues after leaving Essendon. And in fact, kicked 190 goals for your career. Now, not to put too fine a point on it,
but you were
I was
surprised.
staggered when I read that.
You were staggered.
Yeah.
So obviously you didn't pay much attention to me, Michael, throughout the course of my career. But that's not a bad thing. That's all right. That's okay.
So 5 goals in your first game for the Blues?
I did, yeah, which was handy, but I didn't kick too many in a hurry after that.
Yeah. So you left Essendon after 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Was that because your brother Simon had the mortgage on the #1 ruck spot?
No, not really. The only place to play me was in the ruck.
Yeah.
Simon could play. Simon was, you know, great athlete. great ruckman, great forward. And so he was sort of being played between the two positions. I was being played in the ruck. And we're both being paid half as much money as we probably should have earned. My contract ended and I thought, oh, well, here's a chance for us both to sort of cement ourselves in the position we want and probably get paid what we deserve. So I went looking for another club and ended up at Carlton.
So were you uncomfortable playing with your brother or not?
No, it was good. It was good. You know, if you had a choice to kick it to somebody, you'd always kick it to your brother first.
He, in my view, it's a layman's view, he was the best ruckman forward in the time I've been watching football.
No doubt. And often underestimated, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think sometimes I'm overestimated, but he was certainly underestimated, Michael.
Tell me about how you would describe yourself. You know, I was probably harsh on you in the intro about...
oh, no, I think you're fair. It was just the unfashionable bit.
Why do you care so much about that?
Oh, well, I take great pride in my appearance, Michael. You can only work with the material you got, but, this is the material I got.
All right, let me pose this situation for you. You're 206 centimetres tall.
Yeah, I used to be.
Yes.
I don't know if I still am. The weight of the world can wear you down a bit, Michael.
You're running out in number 44 on your back.
Yeah. And it's a big number too. It's a lot to carry, And it's also, they gave it to me at Eston. I kept it at Carlton and I continued to keep it because it was a reminder to people that, too. They did offer me another number at various stages, but it was, I just wanted to remind them that you thought I was worth 44 when you put me on the list. I'm still 44 and I'm still here.
Was there a significant Carlton number that was offered to you?
No, it was probably the point. It was maybe 20 numbers down, but it wasn't much better, really, was it?
All right, now, the unfashionable part. We've established that...
We don't have to go on about it.
No, but I want to just pose this specific day to you. When you ran out on the ground wearing a helmet.
I did, yes. I wore a helmet because the week... And I don't think the coach received it very well either. So David Parker, and I remember in the aftermatch... he used to write these written after-match reports, go into great detail about statistics and all sorts of things. And one of the lines in it was, Harry, I never want to see that helmet again. And he didn't. But the point being that the week before, I was involved in Mark of the Year, but unfortunately it was Peter Bazzusto taking the Mark of the Year on my head, and he knocked me out. But the point being there was no other opponent around us when he took it. So it was sort of a bit of a statement like, I do have a very sore head here, and if you didn't pick it up last week, I still got a sore head this week.
So when you pulled the helmet on, were you self-conscious at all, or was it you taking
Look, I was probably self-conscious for most of my career, Michael. If you look at this body and the way it operates, there's no point in letting that hold you back, though. So I wasn't too self-conscious about it, but it was more saying to my teammates, I'm a bit more delicate than you might think I am. But the other point was, I think it was Lou Richards who said the only thing that Justin Madden seems to have to worry about when it comes to his head is low-flying jumbo jets or something like that.
There's a piece of furniture at Carlton in the medical room, the H. Madden Memorial Bed.
Yes, yeah.
What's the origin of that?
Well, I spent a lot of time on it. I probably spent more time on that than I did on the field, actually, Michael. But, to the credit of the medical staff at the Carlton Football Club, it allowed me to have a much longer career than probably most others. And I was very keen on recuperation. I think we were always asked to do extras, and I would always ask to do more recuperation, which spent...
That was your extra?
My extra was more recuperation.
Were you ever injured when you were occupying that bed?
Oh, no, but I was preventing injury, Michael. I was always very big on preparation and running.
I like that.
So,
You were a practical joker in the footy club, weren't you?
Well, you've got to do something. It's pretty... they can be pretty dull places in the middle of winter when you're not winning. So, and even when you're winning, they can still be dull places. So you've got to entertain yourself as much as your teammates. And if teammates don't get your joke, it doesn't matter, really.
What about when Parko decided that you would simulate the conditions for a night game, an upcoming night game, and you went to the showground?
We did, yeah. So David Parker, is a great man of football science, decided that we would train. At the time, we were going to play a game. So I think we were playing games at 8 o'clock or 8:15 at night. And it was very early days. So he decided we would train at 8:15 at the showgrounds. And mind you, we still worked in those days. So we worked or we went to uni or something. And so he had us train out at 8:15, which was a really inconvenient time. And by the time we finished, it was close to 10 o'clock. So I thought, just to make a point, when we all got changed out and showered out of our footy gear, I just put my pyjamas straight on and my dressing gown and gave them away. So I'm just cutting out the middleman here. I'm going straight to bed.
Did the wheels turn at different times? Did you find your car on blocks one night?
Yeah, I think it might have been on my birthday too. I'd the misfortune I had to go to the tribunal. And so when I came back from the tribunal, I might have got a week's suspension too, so I wasn't in the best of moods, only to find that Peter Dean and a few other characters had put my car on blocks and then padlocked my wheels to the staircase at Carlton. So, it took me a while to get home that night.
I think you still finished in credit, according to your teammates.
Yeah.
You're talking about the tribunal, Justin. Did you whack Michael Tuck in the '87 grand final?
I may have come into contact with a lot of players like that over my career, Michael, but of course it was never ever intentional.
No malice?
No, never any malice. And if I ever injured any blokes from coming into contact or high contact, it was always an apology offered immediately afterwards, Michael.
Can I ask you once more? Did you deliberately whack Michael Tuck to the head in the grand final?
Well, there may be some footage that shows that.
Were you suspended for that?
I think I was, yeah, a couple of weeks. Yeah. So maybe I wasn't as nice as you make me out to be.
What about your relationship with Parko? Parko, it was interesting.
Is it?
Your relationship with him?
Yeah, no, Parker's a great man, a great coach.
Feisty?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say feisty. I think I probably frustrated him. But I was always, I was a great admirer of David. I think I won best and fairest under David and probably performed better under David than other coaches. And I just liked the way he went about it. Although, he's a very sort of scientific, formulaic, and also, a bit of traditional fire and brimstone. So I think sometimes that didn't work to the extent that he would have liked to work on me, because I probably was a bit more laid back when he was giving the big, proverbial fire and brimstone speech. But no, we got on very well, and if anything, I probably frustrated him, but I found him great because he also had a view that football was a part of your life, but it wasn't your whole life.
Well, that was your view, wasn't it?
It was always my view.
Yeah.
Because, I could tell that I wasn't going to, I wasn't a natural athlete, so football wasn't going to come naturally. So I couldn't bank on it entirely, so I had to have other things in my life.
But when you say that, I mean, you played for 17 seasons, didn't you?
Oh, something. But who's counting, Michael?
But that's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah.
A long time at a game that you never mastered.
No.
In your words,
right.
that you never
Yeah,
mastered.
I'm quite happy, I was tall, slow, uncoordinated,
And unfashionable.
Unfashionable as well. So I've got another one there. So all I had to do was just hit the ball to people. And sometimes I wasn't much good at that either.
Well, you often know that now you're being self-deprecating
Am I?
to a ridiculous extent. Parko said there was a 3-year period in which Carlton outscored every team in the competition for goals from centre clearances.
There you go.
So
you have been paying attention.
No, he told me that.
No, that was good. I'm glad he remembers that too.
But, I mean, your hands were very good. I mean, you had a head start, I must say, standing at 2.
Well, I couldn't jump. I couldn't jump that much. I could jump a bit, but, I had a long reach and I was probably the tallest going around, so I'd want to be able to get that head first to the ball.
You never cared, though, did you, about your image? You were happy, you'd dress up as a dinosaur and you would do odd things.
Yeah, I'd do, if the media wanted me to do something silly, I'd do it. They had a job to do and I had a job to do. Yeah. And, I was always quite happy to entertain them and myself and make people laugh, Because remembering, there was a period of time when I remember I'd sit in the coach's room sometimes. I'd be sitting next to Anthony Koutafidis and these other players who were all, ribbed and built, and I'd think, I'm great, I'm one of these blokes. I'm an athlete. And then I'd watch the replay and I'd think, no, I'm not. I'm not. Nor have I ever been.
Your locker was next to Cooter's?
It was next to Cooter's, so he was 43.
Did you get the same amount of fan mail as Cooter?
No. So Cooter's number 43 and I was number 44, and Cooter would get, he'd get fan mail in those days, like there was no tomorrow, and you'd get this cute little letters from young ladies saying nice things about him and to him, and then he'd get them on a regular basis, and I'd open my locker and once or twice a year I'd get one, and it was always written in copper plate, the old script. It'd be some lady in her 80s saying nice things to me.
How was Parko with your antics, when you would sort of pretend to hide behind people, one of whom was Anthony Rock, who goes up to your hip?
Yeah. Well, sometimes if the ball's rushed out of the back line, and if I wasn't as deep as I should have been, I'd just sort of crouch down and hopefully they'd kick one in my direction. And occasionally it worked. It didn't work very often, but it did work occasionally. So I think, there was one famous moment where I crouched behind Anthony Rock, which was, hiding behind a rock.
Did you?
As opposed to
that would have
under
been
one.
deliberate. Yeah. The end of your career. Now I'm a bit confused by this.
Yes.
Your last senior game was 1996.
Yes, that's right.
But you played several games the next year.
In the reserves.
In the reserves. Now, Parko said to me that you said you were never going to play reserves football.
No, I never said that. I'd played a fair bit of reserves footy. But he said to me, I think, in that meeting, he said, I remember the meeting at the end of the season, he obviously wanted me to go. But
leave the footy.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
You know, he thought my career had finished,
Yeah.
but he didn't say that in those words. So I was trying to get him to say it, but he wouldn't say it. So I said, well, look, if you want to sack me or delist me, go ahead. Go ahead. And I thought that maybe there's an unfair dismissal claim there if I wanted it. But they wouldn't do it. So I fronted up again and played in the reserves for about 8 or 9 games and thought, this will do me. You know, I'm not going anywhere.
There's a popular theory at Carlton, shared by many, that...
Have I heard this before?
well, I think you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
That Carlton were ready to move you on, or perhaps suggest to you that you should go, and John Elliott vetoed that idea.
Could well have been the case. I remember John Elliott's young daughter, Alexandra, I think her name was, turned up when she was a young girl. She came into the rooms after the game. We're sitting on the benches in our outfits, and she had a dinosaur, a little fluffy dinosaur on her arm. Somebody said, see that big bloke over there? He's a dinosaur. Go over and talk to him. So she came back the next week with a duffel coat with number 44 on the back, which was quite flattering. But I continued to remind John Elliott there was no possible way I could get the sack because he couldn't break his daughter's heart. So I reckon I got a couple of years out of it.
Worked?
I think it worked, yeah. I got a couple of extra years, I'm sure.
Do you ever reflect on the fact that two boys who grew up in Airport West ended up playing 710 games between them? I mean, it's a staggering feat, that.
Yeah, I don't think about those things too long and hard, Michael. It's just you just turn up and do what you do. And I don't think it was remarkable that Simon played that much footy, but I think it's pretty remarkable that I did. You know, because he was an athlete. He was a junior sprinter, a champion sprinter. He was a junior high jump champion, great footballer, and I was just tall. You know, I was just a bit taller.
Yeah.
But you know, I wasn't any of those things. So he was destined to be one. You know, I probably fluked it and hung on for a long time.
I did the first story on your brother, Simon.
I know, yes, I remember that. So you were a household name in our
the
family.
Madden family.
Yeah, like that Mike Sheen. You know him, and we all knew you.
I'm flattered, mate, I'm flattered.
Yeah. But mind you, that was a long time ago, Mike.
And we've moved on from that.
Right.
Now, did you enjoy playing on your brother?
Always. It was always hard work because he could run and I had to keep up with him. But I thought if I could keep up with him to a point that I could probably outreach him. So it was always a fair and reasonable contest.
Was it physical?
Not too much, although I think there was one game down at Eston where we'd been at Eston together in practice matches, and I knew if he ran off, I couldn't catch up with him. So I would grab his shorts as he started to move away and pull his shorts down. So that would give me a couple of seconds to keep up with him. And I did that when the first time Carlton played Eston at Windy Hill. And with that, he turned around and located his hand in a part of my shorts, which shall remain nameless. And it gave me a bit of a shock, so I belted him. Across the chest, nothing savage, but across the chest, and the umpire gave a free kick against me for doing that. So I gave the umpire quite a mouthful and said, please stay out of domestic disputes.
Now, in a technical sense, how did you contend with ruckman of the athleticism of Wren, Barnes, Rendell, McKernan?
Yeah, they were all athletic, weren't they?
Yeah.
No, I think it was all about positioning, Michael. It's about where you locate yourself between the ruckman and the ball. So it's not rocket science.
No, but I'm not talking necessarily about the centre square.
Yeah.
I'm talking about around the ground. I mean, they could run off you, couldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They could all run off me. There wasn't a ruckman in the league who couldn't run off me. And if they couldn't run off me, there was something dreadfully wrong with them, Michael. But I would over the course of my career, I worked out that it's a bit like endurance runners. You actually have a bigger base and more endurance the more seasons you put in. And I had more endurance because I just played in the ruck longer than most of these blokes. So
But you didn't train, though?
No, because I'd work so hard on a Saturday, Michael, I had to recover and do extra recovery during the week. So I would just run all day long. And in those days, we rucked all day. Or I rucked. Not many ruckmen rucked all day in those days, but I rucked all day. And I'd just keep going. And most of them would fall away after a while. I'd stay close to them and not let them get away. And then I just kept just keep going. So I was, a bit of an ox, just keep going.
Did you ever get angry on the field? Were you that laid-back attitude?
Yeah, but I couldn't follow through with it most of the time, Michael. I'd get angry and pick somebody up and throw them, or I'd throttle them, but not much. There was never going to be much follow-up on my part. I was never going to be fast enough. So it was part of football is the theatrics. You've got to give people the impression that you're nastier than you are.
You think it's a bit homogenised today, don't you?
Well, I think they could loosen up a bit, Everyone's very formulaic in terms of their responses to the media, and when they get out there, we always get the same. They make great politicians, these people, because they stick to the party line, Whereas they should just relax a bit and be themselves.
Give me an example. I mean, if someone...
I'd love to see one of them get out there one day and just say, said, you played really well today. I'd love one of them to say, yeah, wasn't I fantastic today? I was terrific, and give them the thumbs up or so. But no, they're all very well drilled, and they don't step outside that sort of that team line, which is a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about that. 2 years after your footy career, you mentioned politics before.
Yes.
You enter politics to the surprise of many of us.
Yes.
1999.
Even to the surprise of myself, Michael, really. So, and I had been involved in the Players Association.
For 7 years, yeah.
Yeah, which is Players Union, and we went through a fairly tumultuous time where we went through... the league introduced the salary cap, the draft and the standard player contract. And this was all news to me, so I had to go and talk to people in the Labor movement and find out what this all meant and what I need to do. And we ran a campaign and we...
Sorry, before you leave that...
We survived that.
Who did you seek counsel from?
Bill Kelty and John Halfpenny and some of the old union stalwarts of the day. And then... as part of that goodwill, I joined the Labor Party and helped them out on a few things, but never expecting anything more than that. And then just before the 1999 election, yes.
Don't look like you're enjoying that.
Yeah, I'm having a terrific time there, aren't I? A bit like now, Michael. But 1999 election, somebody came up to me just before it. Jeff Kennett was about to announce, said, do you think you might be interested in the seat? We might have a seat available on short notice. One of the candidates can't run. They said, when do you need an answer by? And this was over coffee in the morning. They said, about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I said yes, but I went home, discussed at home, and we said, yes. So I said, let them know it's yes. And then, but my expectation was I would be nominating for the upper house, is where I went, the backbench in opposition. So I thought, that can't be too hard because I'll be able to learn. And then about 12 weeks later, I was a minister in the upper house, Minister for Sport. So it was as much a shock to me as it was to anybody else.
That day was memorable for two things, I reckon. Labor won the election.
That's right.
And Carlton beat
Essendon in the preliminary final. Yes, so the underdogs got up on both occasions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what happened when they came to you and sort of said, now, Justin, you're now a member of Parliament, you haven't been here for long, but we're going to make you a minister?
Well, you don't say no to that. And I don't... Yeah.
Did you have any idea, though, what was...
No, I didn't know what that meant, Michael. But the great thing is you learn on the run. Every day was a new experience. It was a learning experience, and you just hold your breath and hang on. And I hang on for a long time, a bit like I'd played footy. So in both careers, I didn't expect much.
The Brownlow medal, Justin.
Yes.
Would you have felt that you were sort of belonged on the honour board had you got 2 more votes and beaten Brad Hardy?
No. I don't think that was a very good year for football, Michael. I was very fortunate. I think that was the second time I'd taken my wife out, really. So
the Brownlow night?
Yeah, it was the Brownlow night. I thought I'd make a big impression on her, so it's the second time I took her out.
What did you say?
And in the car on the way there, I said, I might get a few votes tonight. And then as the votes accumulated, the cameras were on us and the lights were on us, and I thought, oh, God, this is a bit nerve-wracking for both of us. But because I thought it's very early days here because there'll be family members watching, there'll be friends watching.
Were they aware of the courtship?
Well, I think they were aware that we were going to the Brownlow together. So, but of course, if you win the Brownlow, the big statement is your partner. Big hug or
front page of the Herald Sun.
Yeah, that's right. So I was a bit worried about whether I should lay a big passionate kiss or just a peck on the cheek. I didn't know where I was going to go with it because that would be interpreted by a lot of people around us who knew us very well.
Yes.
And then I think the last 2 votes or something, the votes fell away and I didn't get there, and the cameras raced off and went over to Brad Hardy.
Yeah.
And it was to great relief, Michael, because I thought now I don't have to worry about it.
I can believe that.
Great relief it was.
So it was only your second date?
It was. I think it was our second date, yeah. So I was greatly relieved that, and of course, you know, we've been married all these years, so I feel like I got the award I wanted.
Oh, very nice, Justin. That's a great moment. You with Stephen Silvani with long hair.
Yeah, very long hair he's got there, hasn't he? But yeah, no, it's a great moment, and being able to share that and, you know, have all those supporters, you know, really feel as excited as you are is a great moment. It's what you play footy for, really, I suppose.
Did you blow any kisses that day? There's a bloke that we both admire for his
yes.
For his football ability and the fact he's a genuinely funny man, Diesel.
He's a funny man. He hardly said a word during our football career. Like, he'd tell me where to hit the ball and I'd hit it there, and that was about all we ever said to each other. But since he's finished playing footy, you can't shut him up. So he's the funniest man I've ever met. But
the funniest man you've ever met?
But since the end of his football career, he was always very serious playing footy.
The 95 Premiership team, lots of big names.
Yep.
Where does it sit among the great teams that you've seen in, say, the last 30 years? Starting from Hawthorn in the 80s.
I haven't watched that much footy in the last 30 years, Michael. Really?
I know it's a silly question.
Seriously, I haven't. Only in recent years have I watched. I was busy in politics. I couldn't watch too much footy. But it's a great team. But you know, every team's a great team that wins a premiership for various reasons. You know, I've enjoyed some of the more recent grand finals because I've had a chance to relax and enjoy them. But you know, I think that every premiership side has a story behind it too, which galvanises those players to achieve what they achieve. And whenever you hear about those stories, they're always great and they're worth listening to as well.
What are you doing these days, the Honourable Justin Madden AM?
I've gone back to working in the field I originally trained in, which is architecture. So I work for a company called Arup, who are an engineering design consultancy, and that keeps me busy. Right?
So do you miss an active involvement in footy at all, be it ruck coach, commentator, whatever?
No, not really. No, I enjoy watching it from a distance and being an armchair critic. But no, I think like a lot of things in your life, there's a period of time which you invest your energy and your emotion and have a go at it. And then there's a point at which you leave it behind and move on. And, you know, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to do that with football and politics and still have a nice, you know, nice things that I can be passionate about and work in as well.
Justin, I didn't mean to call you unfashionable. Simon Thomas.
No, I think you're probably right. But I can see these socks. I don't know if you can see these socks. This is a man who's calling me unfashionable. And look at those socks.
They're not fashionable?
Well, I don't know, because I wouldn't know,
No,
would I?
No, exactly. Now, look, despite that, that was a tease. Of course, you're entitled to be extremely proud of what you've done. And I think the family, as I said before, 700 games for the two of you, monumental achievement. We enjoyed watching you play because you're a distinctive character and you've got plenty to show for it. Nice to see you, Justin.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks.